Welcome, everyone, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you've never seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Pentiment. Here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Love to hear it.
Is Pentiment a Christmas game?
Well, Penance, I think I've called this game about 7 different names. Penitence, Pentiments, Penitence. But yes, I would say it's a Christmas game for sure. So, ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
And our guest for this podcast, the stranger.
Oh.
What? What were you going to say?
Oh no! I thought you wanted me to say my name.
No. I was just like giving the awkward pause as I was gonna say.
All right.
A stranger of Denmark,
from across the pond, and he knows what I'm referencing when I said that.
Yes.
Of course,
yes.
You saw him on our Stranger of Paradise review. André Vu-Phung is back.
Welcome, André. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on.
Thank you for having me. I was actually. Funny enough, when I got this game, the first thing I thought was, I wonder if I could talk with the Delco Nerd Network about this game.
That's too kind. That is too kind. That's awesome. No, yeah, I was honestly kind of surprised by this game. I didn't know if we would talk about it, but I'm glad we're doing it. And it's nice that we have, especially someone we don't have on. We've had you on once, right?
Yeah, just a Stranger of Paradise.
So that's awesome. Yeah, it's really great to have you.
Yeah, so of course, my name is Anthony Ragucci. I always don't say my name in hot takes, but I'm going to try to include that more. So,
that's tough, yeah.
Pentiment's been out for what? Like a month and a half?
Ish.
Yeah,
maybe 2. I'll look up the release date right now.
Yeah, I think it was like November 11th or something like that. Not that it really makes a difference.
November 15th.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Trio, you finished Pentiment last night.
I did.
What did you think? Spoiler free.
Yeah.
This is all going to be fucking spoiler talk as soon as we start talking about
it. Overall, man, I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of the most unique experiences I've had playing a video game in a while. I know it's not the same, but it reminded me.
Keep talking.
No,
actually, wait.
All right.
The thing on the button fucking came off. I heard the click.
Oh, no.
It's all right.
Technical difficulties. But we're getting back into it. Gooch has something that holds down the button on our DSLR camera. So it needs to constantly hold the button down to record. And I had this thing on top and it just came undone.
Fuck! It's all right. We're back.
All right, we'll edit it out.
No, keep everything.
Maybe I won't.
But yeah, Pentiment. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, very unique experience, very story-oriented, which I liked. Many choices, much consequence, which I care a lot about in a game. It's always nice to see. It's a scale that I think works very well for it, and it's just a neat package of a game, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. But, Andre, what did you think?
I thought it was... it's definitely... Yeah, like you said, it's probably one of the most unique games I've ever played, and it's actually, when I think about Pentiment, I actually think about a lot of the things that the director of the game, Josh Sawyer, he's actually very vocal about the work he does, and he does a lot of talks, and I feel like a lot of the things he talks about is directly showcased in this game, and I think it works really, really well. What you mentioned, like the smaller scale of the world, but it's still like very dense.
Yeah.
No, it makes it dense because it's so small. So, and then also the way you like see the consequences of your actions, it's completely different to something like Fallout, which takes place in like this giant region, basically. I loved Pentiment, and it was a very different kind of story that I'm used to, it's definitely memorable. Will stick with me.
Gooch, what about you?
Yeah, Pentiment I think is one of the best games of this year, like hands down. It wasn't in the game of the year conversation because it just kind of came out late, and that's fine. This game wasn't going to take home any awards anyway.
Sure.
But I feel like when I was first hearing some reviews and stuff, and some spoiler casts and some interviews with Josh Sawyer, like the first thing that came up and is like, this game isn't for everyone. Like, I don't know, man. I think this game is it is slow. especially the beginning. It is formatted kind of odd. Obviously, like there's not much gameplay other than walking around and like, you know, it's a point and click adventure, but like the story, the writing and the way, and you know, where the game takes place and how it's history based, and there's a lot of deep, dense history in this that, you know, most people are probably like, I think everyone probably has like some sort of baseline for like the Protestant Reformation and Martin Luther. I'm pretty sure like most people are aware of that, but like it gets like so much deeper than that. But like the game goes out of its way to be like, okay, like we have a glossary of like all these terms, so you don't need to really know any of this stuff. And like I know like Kingdom Come Deliverance is another game that's historically based, and I'm curious if in that game, Andre, I think you've played that game, and I know Trio has. Like,
I started it.
Like, does that have any like just a quick tangent? Does that have any like this person just referenced this? This is what this is, like a glossary, or no?
It has a codex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is very similar idea. I remember that too. And that's actually similarly styled in the way of, you know, it's the old kind of Latin Bible style. Like it has a very ornate picture of what they're talking about and things like that. Yeah, it's funny. Kingdom Come was a game I feel like I should really love. I just have never really put the time into learning the mechanics, and I just kind of got turned off by a few things on it. But I don't know. I need to get back to it for sure. But I do think just the setting itself is very unique in this, and like you said, that whole idea of tackling like the Protestant Reformation and just the Catholic Church and monasteries at the time. It's very interesting. I wouldn't have even thought about the fact that monasteries were like the center of a town. They kind of brought business to the town. You would have like people working and making books at the monastery. That's what people would.
Yeah, scriptoriums.
Very interesting.
I did know that like early on, like they, you know, scriptoriums and like the church made text, and
Makes
then
sense.
other people got the technology to do the exact same thing with other books, and it kind of put them in like a spot. Like they were like, oh shit, like other people are, you know, they're printing whatever they want, you know, heretical text or text they deem heretical, and it's kind of like putting them in a weird position, and like you know, people are going to like, you know, I guess like what you could call just like a private company, or like, you know, somebody just owns like oh my god, what's his name? Drucker. What's
in
his
the game?
What's his first name?
Klaus.
Klaus.
Yeah, Klaus Drucker
is
is exactly that. He's a printer, and he, you know, he prints books. So he's like putting the, you know, imagine that on a larger scale. Like he's putting the church.
It's funny, I didn't even think about that.
Out of business.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, this game is just. I fell in love with Andreas. I fell in love with Magdalene. Like all these characters and these people you meet, even the people you hate. Like of course, Journeau, the abbot. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, and then there's one
because I always
guy,
pronounce the
right,
T
too?
silent. That's what it seemed like to me. It's Journeau. Yeah, and like some of the monks, like Guy, fuck brother guy, he sucks.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, like I just felt like I was like really getting attached to this Tassing and Kreisau and like all these people here, like. And you know what I loved? Not a single person, outfit, or anything was repeated. Everyone was unique.
For sure.
Where,
and
like,
I think that speaks to the scale, like we were talking about.
Right.
Having this type of scale allows you to tackle those finer details. And I mean, we even still got a 15 to 20 hour like experience out of it. And
it's meaty. It's chunky. It's like it does not feel like a quick play.
No,
like,
not at all. And I do, tell me if I'm wrong, I do feel like this is really like a capital R RPG in the way of like you are in it to play the role of Andreas. It's Andreas.
Andreas,
right? Yeah, I don't know why. That's gonna throw me off here, Andre and Andreas. But I just think it's really cool to step into the roles of these characters. Kind of, it allows you to choose your backgrounds in certain ways and gives you different dialogue options depending on which you choose and do all that things. It's nice to play a game like this again, and it really does feel like it kind of. I know it's very different from Fallout and like Oblivion and all that stuff, but I feel like it does kind of harken back to those in the way of your dialogue and your choices mattering and stuff like that, which is really nice to see. But do we want to get into the Act 1 and spoilerish territories, or is there any kind of more broad stuff?
Yeah, real quick, Andre, I just wanted to throw it to you just in case you had any other, like, I don't know, general things to say. I know I was going to reference the fact that I'm pretty sure we're all Obsidian fans here.
Absolutely.
We've all played New Vegas, and Obviously, Josh Sawyer was a big part of that game, so that's where this is Obsidian, the company that made Fallout New Vegas and
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, and they're making this like small, not indie game, but like an almost indie-like game. But
well, and this seemed to be. Sorry, Andre, I'll let you talk in 1 second. This seemed to be one thing that made like they allowed. I'm sorry, who was the director's name again?
Josh Sawyer.
This was one of his things that he wanted to kind of like stick around with Microsoft after they left. So after they got bought out, I should say.
Right.
So it's cool to see that Microsoft did allow him to do this very kind of niche idea of a game and to keep him around. But yeah, Andre, anything else you'd want to say, broad strokes wise?
I guess something. So you already mentioned Outer Worlds and Fallout New Vegas. Obsidian also directed by Josh Sawyer. This classic styled RPG, Pillars of Eternity, 1
Yes,
and 2.
That sounds very familiar. Yeah.
It's always a game I want to get around to.
It kind of slightly. I mean, it's completely different, but slightly reminded me of that because that's also a game where you primarily move around with the mouse, play the game with the mouse. But also, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of different choices to make. It kind of felt familiar, I guess, in that way.
That's awesome.
Now that we're just bringing out, also Pillars of Eternity I think it's my favorite RPG. So
I'll have to check that out. How old is that game?
Kind of.
Is it pretty old, or is it like within
Pillars
the last
of
10
Eternity
years?
1? Yeah, last 10 years,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
Pillars of Eternity 1, probably like 2015, I think. I don't know. And Pillars of Eternity 2 is definitely newer. At least 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll have to check. It's on Xbox and stuff, or consoles and things.
I'm pretty sure it's on everything. Yeah,
Right.
it's like a CRPG.
Right,
Yeah,
that's good to know. I might
it's
have
like
to-
a like D&D type. I'm pretty. Andre could probably speak better to it than
Sure.
I could, like in gameplay wise.
I would have to look into that for sure. I love it. One other thing I did want to mention before we get into spoiler stuff. What do you guys think of like the actual presentation of the gameplay in the way of like the text and the different fonts for different characters and just how it would write itself out? I thought that was a super, super neat touch.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like, didn't they hired out to like a different studio, like a script studio to do that or something?
Yeah. So I think Josh Sawyer mentioned that they like got the fonts like custom done for the game.
That's really cool. Yeah, it was just a neat touch.
Andre, I wanted to let you go first with this one.
Oh, well, it seems like we're progressing quite fast.
Yeah.
I guess because we do have to move. I mean, it's really, I was thinking leading up to this podcast, it's going to be really hard to talk about this game without going into spoilers.
Exactly. So
Yeah. So just play this fucking game. Come on.
Yeah. So spoiler. We'll start talking a little bit of Act 1 now. So please go ahead.
No, I was going to talk about the presentation, actually.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. No.
No, it's just, well, now that you're mentioning I'm sorry. It is now that I mentioned the whole font and stuff, I think what my favorite thing about Pentiment, which we will probably get into later when we're going through the different acts, but is how I feel like Pentiment is one of those few games that actually does subjective storytelling in the sense that we see the world as our character perceives them, which is also something Josh actually went into when talking about the fonts. It changes depending on Andreas's perception of the character, which
right. If they're learned or if they're peasants, right?
That's you do see that change like midstream, right? Mid conversation, because he's talking to the one peasant who he thinks is a peasant, then he learns is like a learned guy, and then his font like changes, right?
Yeah.
And you can no longer read what he's saying.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So you guys didn't switch to the other fonts, right?
No.
Yeah, like the simpler fonts. Yeah.
No. You did?
No, I didn't. But there are definitely some tough ones, especially the monastery guys. I was kind of sitting there squinting a bit.
But yeah, also just visually, like the older people are like represented in an older art style compared to toddlers and people around the same age as Andreas, which is just a really cool touch. And also this one guy.
I guess they're kind of scratchier.
For sure. Yeah, like because they do go for like an almost stained glass look, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I was kind of almost gathering from it. That's cool. Definitely not something I maybe picked up on, but that's actually amazing.
If you put them side by side, it's really easy to tell.
It's very noticeable, yeah.
Yeah, they like characters around the same age as Andreas have like very clear black outlines. You'll notice that the older characters don't.
Oh, that's actually, I feel like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I don't want to say anything else. Also, there's actually also a part in the story which we'll get into. So I guess I won't talk about that anymore. But I think that's one of my favorite parts about the story. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. So Act 1 kind of revolves around, I think, like what the game was pitched, right? You're Andreas Mahler. You're a painter, and you're investigating a murder. Like that's how the game was pitched. Just Act 1. So you start out and you make you talk to a few people, and through that conversation, you build a backstory. So I like how it's like, instead of like, oh, create your character, here you go, just plug some shit in. It kind of like contextualizes those choices a little bit. Yeah. And Trio mentioned it earlier. Like it's funny how like the smallest kind of things like impact something, or even these small choices of like where you're from. So I picked like, I don't know if you guys wrote them down. I went back in the Discord because I put them down. Like I went to Italy. I was a heathen. I studied imperial law, occultism, and heavens and earth. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm like a suave, like I fuck Andre, but like I'm learning.
Yeah. You mean Andreas?
Andreas.
See, I told you this was going to be an issue during this. That's so funny. But I think I think I did the almost exact same choices as you. At the first, I was an Italian hedonist with an occult fascination, and I studied in law. I'm not. That's exactly what I did.
Andre, did you fuck around like we did?
Yeah.
Well, the one time where I tried to make myself is a game where you play as a preset character. Yeah. I also picked Italy. I don't know. There's something about Italy, I guess.
No, I mean, it makes sense like that. I feel like a painter would go to Italy. Like, I mean, I'm Italian, so that's kind of why I picked it. But
no, I agree. You think kind of like Michelangelo, all those people, Italy,
right?
Yeah.
Like he kind of looks like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I think it's the closest thing to Spain, I guess, somehow.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Then I went bookworm, which I'm actually not, but it's the closest thing to what I'm doing, I guess. I went with Heavens and Earth and Herbalist.
Okay.
Oh.
And
yeah, I found him like, the Heavens and Earth thing, because like you walk by so many flowers. It's funny how like that didn't really seem to end up mattering, because like I don't know if you say the same things when you approach the flowers if you're not like a Heavens and Earth and herbalist.
What were the other options for that part? I'm trying to remember.
There's like a few others. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know if that's the only one I can't remember what I chose. That sounds like I did Heavens and Earth, but
yeah, I kind of wish I had them in front of me. I mean, I could probably Google it, but
it would have been cool. There's no like kind of wrap up at the end of the game, right? That shows you or did I skip that?
No, a scene that like shows you everything,
or even like kind of like a card of being like, I don't know, you chose this and that. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, but
yeah.
So what? So you
actually,
went. Go ahead.
That would be a good idea. Just like an ending card that just shows some major events.
Yeah,
exactly.
Here's what you did, and here are the choices you made.
Exactly,
right.
and see where those kind of laid out. That definitely would have been something nice. But how did your investigation go? Who were you looking into the most as far as the murder went? Because I know there's a couple options, right? Like as far as who you can kind of latch into.
Yeah.
Andre, who did you look into? Who did you think did it?
Ferenc rushing into the scriptorium with that puzzle thing instantly got me like, there's something afoot.
What's going on there? Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't even know. It's funny. I didn't even really quite understand getting into that beginning part.
So all I did with I was calling him like Ferenc the whole time. I don't know.
We're
probably like
the names are definitely going to escape me a bit.
Yeah, like I accused him to the Archdeacon. I didn't I just told him like, hey, he's into the occult shit. Like I found out that like, you know, he had dug up is it Matthias, the old abbot, right?
I think so. I didn't investigate that part, to be honest.
Yeah,
so I missed that.
You can dig him up and you find out that like he was doing something. Like he's practicing the occult with oh shit, what's his name? Baron Vandervolt?
Oh, the one who gets murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because the one I kind of invested in was just the old lady. Like, and then I told
I got
them,
on her good side. I'm like, she didn't fucking do this.
I was close to it, and then I think I was like half and half, and she ended up going the bad way for me because I.
So you accuse her?
Well, I didn't even accuse her. I told them about how like they wanted her land and things like that. I was actually trying to help her out, and then I feel like they were like, "Well, we want her land, so actually." It's her. She did it. And they
How convenient.
Yeah, it really worked out.
I successfully, because I was Imperial Law, I had the law background to like recognize like no, like I told her
no, I told her that too.
Athilda, something like that.
I can't remember something like that.
Attila. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, no, like the church is like trying to like get you.
Scam you.
This is illegal. Like they're just using, you know, their position to kind of like
screw you.
Yeah. And I basically convinced her and I saved her house.
See, yeah, I convinced her too, and then I talked to the council on her behalf. And then I got like an achievement, and it was like, let them know about her, like the bad land deal. Yeah. And then they still accused her for some reason. I don't know exactly what triggered that, but I think that was mostly because I didn't really know exactly what I was doing for that first act a little bit. I didn't realize I was like, I could go to these objectives, and there's multiple kind of strings that I can investigate. So yeah, but Andre, who did you accuse? You ended up with, what was his name? Start with an F. I feel stupid.
Ferenc.
Yeah.
We should have like a counter.
I need a glossary like just to like remember all the people.
I investigated Ferenc and the stonemason. I can't. Wow, all the names are just leaving my mind.
There's so many.
And also, yeah,
I'm gonna pull up a wiki if I can get something easy. Continue.
And also the nun. Oh my God, what's the name?
There's many nuns.
Immaculata?
Like the mother, the Reverend Mother. Or
oh yeah.
No, not Mother Cecilia. It was an M. I think. It was started with M.
Matilde, the one who the Baron like assaults.
Right.
Yeah. You accuse her?
No. I just investigated it, but I only accused.
Okay. I was like.
I talked a lot with her and her acquaintances and also Vojislav. But I feel like I thought a lot about what my investigations led me to, and the only one that made sense in that time was Ferenc. Like I couldn't really find any reason why the stonemason would do it or why Matilda would do it. So I only accused Ferenc and then just like, yep, see ya.
And then they took him down, I assume. Is that how that did it work?
Yeah. So I accused the stonemason and I looked into him the least because everyone else, I'm like, I don't think any, like, okay, Athilde, we're butchering names hard. This is so funny. like Athilde, like she definitely didn't do it. Matilde, she didn't do it either. Like she was like abused by this guy. Like she was scared for sure, but like I don't think she did it. And then like with Lucky, I only like I followed him into the woods and like I saw him at that grave and it's like, oh, like something happened between him and the Baron, and like you know that because they're fighting like in the beginning. And I'm like, well, it seems like someone he cared about was killed. I think it's his daughter. It's his daughter and someone.
Do they let you know? Can you find out who it is, like specifically? Because I thought it says like here lies two something or other.
Right. And it was the Baron who ultimately, I forget. You do find out what happened to those two, and they're Lucky. Is it Lucky's daughter and somebody else?
I think I might have missed that part. But I don't know.
I don't remember exactly. I also investigated that, but
yeah, and I was just like, dude, none of these other people did it. Like, I don't have any other choice. So when I accused Lucky, I was like, I'm not fucking right here.
Yeah,
like there's like
even like, for me, yeah, I was the same way. I had like, no confidence,
and I think that's the beauty of that Act 1 decision. None of them did it.
Yeah.
None of them did it.
Yeah.
So you're accusing somebody who did not get, like, in hindsight of Act 3.
Is there an option to not accuse anyone? I guess
no, you have to.
You have to say
pretty sure.
Because I feel like you could almost be like, I don't remember. Andre, do you remember by chance? Was there a way to just like be like, I don't know?
I don't think so.
Well, I was too dead set on getting Ferenc killed. So.
Yeah,
yeah, so with me, I got him excommunicated, but he didn't die. So he did not become like... He basically, Matthew became like the second in command, and he took Matthew's position as the Sancrist.
The head guy.
No, the Sankrist becomes Guy. Guy becomes a Sankrist.
Oh,
Ferenc loses his position. Like he has a higher position, and because he was practicing the occult, and I told the Archdeacon, he gets excommunicated, but he doesn't die. But he's still there.
I see.
And he doesn't really play a major part after that, too much in Act 2.
And neither does Attil. Attil, they just kind of
she
gets executed.
And as
up.
somebody who she survived, she doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah, no, she gets executed, and then people are like, "Yeah, probably wasn't her. They probably wanted the land." Like everyone kind of knows. Like they're like, "All right, well, that was probably bullshit." And it was cool to see kind of the town's reactions to your actions. Again, talking about actions and consequences actually mattering. Like when you get back to town as Andreas in the second act, and everyone's like, "You got that fucking woman killed." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't accuse her. They just said, I actually thought I kind of got her out of it." And then they were like, "No, it was her."
Yeah, you don't really do the sentencing yourself. You just kind of I think this person did it. Mm-hmm. But, you can make that decision.
Yeah, I'll leave this to you. But no, Act 1, do you think that this is the strongest of the three? Or would you say...
Andre, do you want to go first with that?
Oh, I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because I kind of think of it as a river. It's all the parts are I never really thought about which part of. I guess. I don't know. I really don't know.
I think they all have their pros.
I agree.
I really wouldn't even say Act 1's better. Act 1, you're just kind of dipping your toes in what this game is and the people here. And then each act really evolves. Your character evolves in many different ways. Mm-hmm. So I think it's hard to say.
No, I would agree. Yeah, I think that obviously we'll get to it. The third act really ties everything together super well. But yeah, that whole first investigation was a lot of fun. I am interested to go back, honestly, and replay it. And with more knowledge and kind of understanding how the game works to really kind of explore the options and to see, I wonder if there's there probably isn't, but I wonder if there's a way to really kind of figure out, to get more of what's going on. Maybe not figure out who did it, but maybe to get more of a picture. But Acts 2. Should we move on, or is there anything else to say?
Actually, I want to add something. I want to add something real quick. Actually,
yeah, I did too.
It's something because Act 1 is we get introduced to this world, to this town, Tassing, and I feel like it's kind of funny to think that it's only in Act 1 where Andreas really tries to explore his mind, because there's those sections where he goes think bubble mode. It's only in Act 1 where he does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't address the dream in the beginning where he visits. So it's Beatrice from the Inferno.
Yeah.
It's
Sophocles,
Saint Corbin and Socrates,
yeah.
And there's the king. I don't know. I forget the king's name.
Yeah, I felt dumb at the beginning. I didn't realize that's what that was. He was going into his dreams. It's after the second or third time, I was like, oh, he's going to bed. When he actually went to bed, and then you go there, I was like, oh, it's a dream. I see now. But no, those parts were very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, when I going off of what Andre said, Andreas really is having this kind of moment with himself through this whole game.
Yeah.
I'm just here doing this thing, and I'm gonna make the money, and I'm gonna go back to Nuremberg, and I'm gonna get married.
Because
I don't know how I feel about that, but I have to do it. And I like art, but I kind of got that's just kind of what I'm forced to
become
do.
A job,
because through the choices, it's funny because I went to college, but I didn't finish. So I was clearly doing something else. Being a painter wasn't the first and foremost thing for him. It's kind of something he just okay, this is the family business, and I'm good at it, and I guess I can make money because college didn't work out. So this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, and especially I feel back then, if you're someone who can even go to college, that's probably insane. Or schooling of some kind.
I mean, with sister Denya, the young girl, that you can sleep with.
I didn't do that.
I did.
Was that a nun?
Yeah.
You piece of shit. You sullied her vows.
Yeah, but she clearly doesn't. She's doesn't really want to be a nun.
Yeah.
She's there.
Is that the one that you talked to in Act 3? No, that one.
No, that's the one that kind of looks like a monkey.
Yeah.
She's big.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the one.
It's in a cute way.
Yeah, I see. In a cute way.
What?
But okay, interesting.
Yeah, so like I think you talked to her in Act 2 a little bit, and she kind of tells you, it's like, yeah, I didn't really like want to do this. I'm not here because like I want to do it. I'm here because
my family just made me, basically, right? Or
right. There's like a few of them are in like interesting positions. It's like they're not just like these like
they didn't choose
people.
to be there. Yeah,
and so that's why. And his sister Immaculata is like, well, I don't know.
Jesus is life. It's like, all right, sister,
you shouldn't be reading that.
Yeah, shouldn't be doing that. And it is
Give
interesting.
me my books.
Even talking back to like the printing press stuff that you're talking about. There's a big kind of theme to this of it's like, should people read? Like, is it good that the commoners can read? And like they're taking these ideas and it's getting them all riled up, and like maybe they don't need the books. And like it's just an interesting idea of the lower class people are starting to, like you said before, like it's becoming more of a commercial thing that your everyday person can do is get a book possibly. But even in this time, like they said, the books are still very expensive, especially when you're fucking hand drawing them.
Yeah, Andre, I don't know if you were raised religious, but I was raised Catholic. So this was very interesting. Kind of like given my own background and how I was raised, like
Definitely.
Anything that questions the church is very interesting to me. For sure. So like there's only a few games that are like religious. So like did like any of your own like kind of like personal background, like you're like, oh, like this is how I was raised, and it's interesting to see like the juxtaposition of like now and then, and yeah, they're kind of right. They are kind of all shitheads, or whatever.
No, I don't actually. I mean, my parents have a pretty religious background, but sorta. Well,
Sure.
At least my father, but not really. I wasn't really. No, I don't really have a religious background. That's all I can say.
No,
No, sure, no, that makes
and that's
sense.
fine. So
Yeah.
it's interesting having I'm not really religious now, but being raised Catholic, and
Yeah.
like, which
I'm definitely
is
not
essentially
practicing Catholic anymore. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
which is essentially like it's funny because they use the term Christian, but like they're Catholics, whereas like the Martin Luther stuff, you're Lutheran, which is a sect of Christianity. Like it changes
there
over
are
time.
way too many different, like just break-offs of Christianity and
And it's funny, even like Brother Matthew in the third act, he's like, oh, I'm not that sect
I'm
of
Lutheran now.
Yeah,
he's
it's like,
I'm
oh,
Lutheran.
you
He's like, if you'll talk with a Lutheran, and it's like, yeah. No, it's interesting
right.
to look back at just that again. I don't know a ton about this time. Like, and it is in this. When is this set again? 15.
16? No,
So
15,
this is the
15s.
Dark Ages, right? Yeah, I don't know why I
1500s.
thought at first. So this is like Renaissance time, at least in Italy, I think.
Approaching
1500s.
Renaissance. Yeah, Renaissance is like early to mid 1600s.
Yeah, so you definitely do see a lot of those kind of social boundaries kind of being broken down in this, even like with Magdalene. When we get to the third act, we'll talk about her a bit more. But yeah, I mean,
Also, real quick, the kids are fucking cute as hell in this game.
they are.
Yes.
They are very cute.
Like when I forget the one girl who takes your hat, and I'm like, my hat's fucking gone. like I'm like, can I go get it from her? And I tried, and like I couldn't get it back. I was like,
When did that happen?
and
When
then
does
it's
that
like, and she wears it the rest of the game.
when does
Like
that happen?
in Act 2. So when you eat with that, he's the Ethiopian monk.
Oh,
When you
Sephat, I think his name is Sephat.
yeah,
Something.
that's so cool.
Yeah, when you do a meal with him, he kind of gathers all the women and children, and he's telling stories to the kids, and Andreas is just sitting there, and she's like fucking around with him, and she just takes his hat.
That is funny. I guess that's
And,
something
like,
that
you
you
lose
only
the hat.
get in that meal then, right? I guess that would only happen if
Yeah,
you
so
had
you-
dinner with that person, so I didn't.
Right, and that's another mechanic of the game. And Andre, if you want to jump into this after me, like it's so funny. Like there's so much missable stuff, but it's like the game's like it. That's like the point. Like you will eventually miss something.
For sure. Even like just being able to, oh, I'm sorry, Andre. Go ahead. I didn't mean
No, I didn't know if I had to. No, it's okay. You can say.
No, okay, I wanted to set you up, but go ahead, Trey.
Oh, no, I just was saying, like, just the idea that eating dinner as a mechanic is funny to me.
Yeah,
Like,
because that's where, I guess conversation being had over a meal, and they gossip. Like, it's not just all like, they're just like the one thing I didn't do the wheel spinning with the women. And that they were talking about how that was like a big gossip thing. So I didn't do that.
I see. Yeah, I did do that, I think. That's what I did, because the mini games were pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, like the poker game you play once. They developed a mechanic for a one-time thing, the cookie cutting thing. Like, it's funny how they introduce these little like mechanics and little mini games that you probably like wouldn't think too much about in other games, but they're only there one time.
It's true. That is so funny. Andre, did you have a favorite by chance mini game?
Well, like a mini game. Well, it's actually one in Act 3.
Okay.
I don't know if
You could. I think it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, we're already pretty deep into spoiler territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So it doesn't.
The pottery puzzle. I thought that was awesome.
Right. Yeah.
That
yeah.
was tough too. It took me a minute too. I should say that was tough for me.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is cool.
No, but that was a cool. It was a cool one, and it was just interesting the way that, like you're saying, you use that once, like, and then it's gone.
Right.
The cookie cutting was fun, just as like a bullshit one. Of just like, just get as many out as you can.
Yeah.
That, and then the yarn spinning one was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
too.
So I totally missed that one. So like I'm gonna replay this game. I'm definitely gonna get all the achievements, obviously, but I was looking back and to see like what I didn't get, and I'm like, dude, that's one thing about this game. The replayability is fucking there for
through the roof.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Act 2.
Act 2. So
Andre, do you want to lead us in with I guess what happens between Act 1 and Act 2, and then go into it?
Just what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so we just talked about how, there's this whole thing in Act 1 about accusing someone, but then we find out that, none of them really did it. And then we're thinking to ourselves, well, it'd be pretty unfortunate if we had to do that again.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, cue Act 2. Yeah, so, Andreas returns to Tessing to pay his fare.
9 years later? 7 years?
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
a good
yeah.
chunk, 9 to 10 years, I want to say.
Not a decade, but like in between 5 and 10.
And
Yeah.
another investigation.
Yeah.
But who died? Well, I'm trying to remember. I'm so blanking now. Because what is the second investigation again? It's who?
Otto.
It's
Otto, right. Who
Because
gets
it
fucking
doesn't
crushed.
hit it. It doesn't that doesn't really hit until like the very
Until the
end,
middle.
where like the change of the guard happens in Kreisau. Perot dies, the monk who's accused of killing the Baron in the first act, who he definitely didn't do it.
So that's right. He dies regardless, just because he passes
of
away.
old age. Yeah. So like, there's a change of the guard, guys in a higher position, the scriptorium's closed, and the last time you were there, you accused somebody of dying in town, and now you're back, and it's like, you're just passing through, but like you don't just pass through Tassing.
I have a question for you guys. Were you told not to come back?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did. I was
does
not
that
the good
happen
graces of
regardless?
the church.
Like-
That must be really difficult. You must have to play really
Like just with the abbots the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I did notice the one, the head guy, he's like, don't ever fucking show your face here again.
Yeah, it's
Right?
like, well, JK, I'll see you in like
Yeah,
a
I'll
day.
see you in a couple years.
Wait, did you also get told not to return, Trio?
Yes, I did. Yeah, no, he was because I was not very cushy with the abbot, and I was kind of telling him to screw off a lot. And I remember I was talking with the Baron at dinner, and he really didn't like that. So
Oh, see, I didn't entertain that Protestant Reformation conversation.
I got right
I
in
was
on it.
like,
yeah, no, and they were like, Andreas, please.
he's like egging you on.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, what do you think, Andreas? And then like you're at the end of the table, and like everyone like in the room like looks down at you, and you're like,
oh my god. Yeah, so I was told never to return. I'm curious if you can change that, because if all three of you guys,
yes, you can.
you definitely can.
There's an achievement. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right. So yeah, the whole town's in strife, right? Because they think they're getting taxed too much, and
Right,
it's
which is
causing
a loose theme in the first act that
Yeah.
they're kind of getting pushed by Gurneau a little bit.
Yep, and it's causing a lot of friction with the old abbey, and Otto is the leader, and he gets killed, and that's our investigation.
Right, yeah, he's kind of leading this religious movement, and we didn't talk much about like the paganism in the town, like some of the older people, like what was the old guy's name?
Ill Peter.
Yeah, Il Peter, who literally lives through the whole fucking game. Like he's like on his deathbed like the whole time.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of like Saint Satya and Saint the one with the hand. In the,
Saint Mar, the like saints.
yeah, it's Satya, and then there's the other one with the hand in the shrine.
I feel like it starts with an M.
Yeah, I think it does
Maria
too.
or something maybe. I don't remember quite off the top of my head.
Yeah, but and this is the reason I bring that up is because they're like, they're questioning the church, and they're like, Tassing is revolting. Some people are into it, some people aren't. And then you have like, what's the Miller's name? Who like he sucks.
Oh, it starts with a U, right?
Ulrich. No, not Ulrich. Ulrich is the bread baker.
Lenhard.
Yeah, Lenhard. Yeah.
He is a absolute
and his
piece
son
of shit.
wants to be a painter, but he's putting him down, and Else is his wife, but he's like clearly the richest guy in town. But
did you guys encourage him to follow the art passion? The kid?
Yes.
Yeah. Andre?
For some reason I never. Yeah, see, I think I made the mistake in the because I always have the idea that when I'm playing a very narrative focused game, I always have to play it twice.
No, yeah.
Because the first time there's just too much new information to absorb that I want to play through it like quickly the first time.
Yeah.
And then the second time really dig into things. Now that I know how it's paced, what's going to happen, I can really just take my time.
I'm curious to see what happened to him.
Yeah, for you, if you did. So do you remember talking to his son at all? Or did you not even like really like encourage him or anything? Like in the art.
Oh, I never talked to anyone at the Miller's place.
Oh wow, okay. No, so that again, you're totally right. That's like what I was saying earlier with the first act. I feel like I missed a ton. I can't even imagine like the little conversations I missed. So like, I'm curious now to talk about that in Act 3 then, because I feel like that can cause a big shift possibly.
Right, because he's
definitely
Act
pretty
3.
heavily interesting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's interesting to know. But who did you guys investigate the harshest on this one, would you say? Andre, what about you?
I investigated Guy a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And also Hannah.
Hannah?
Yes, she starts as like, nah, she didn't do it.
Yeah.
Nah, she's sleeping with Lenhard,
yeah.
and she's up to something, but I don't know. I ultimately accused Guy and investigated. I investigated everyone. I would say like a significant amount. Like this act, I was like, it's fucking Guy.
Yeah.
I know it. And when he ultimately gets killed, I was like, I felt no remorse. Like I felt like I made the right decision.
I don't know why Guy I completely ignored. Like I got the information about him and I was like, oh, that's it. And then I just forgot to investigate his side.
So you find out he's embezzling money from the
And they
Abbey.
do mention that lightly. And
Yeah.
I wanted to go investigate more, but I totally forgot. But I really kind of spent most of my time with Martin, that imposter.
I
piece
didn't
of shit.
See, I investigated him the least.
Really?
So
Interesting.
what did you find out about Martin?
He's not Martin. He's not. He's an imposter. He came back in after. So when Martin disappeared, he.
Dude,
did you? Yeah.
So in Act 3, I like you can kind of like poke at it and be like, "Who are you?" Or no. Andreas says in Act 2, like I didn't get the persuasions, so I failed, and like
I
like,
didn't get that either. But
who are you? Like you've totally changed. Like
So
you're a different person.
he disappears after he ran away, and then he comes back a changed man.
Right.
And then you can talk to a bunch of people around the town. I tried to get him to admit it too, but I did it too early.
I failed so many
before
persuasions. in this game.
I think I failed like 2 out of the 5. But I went around town. I was talking to people, and then when you're in the old ale house, you talk to a guy, and he's like, "Yeah, that Martin guy. I don't know. There's some," and you have to convince him. And like I persuaded him to be like, "No, what's up? What about Martin?" He's like, "Well, he looks like this fellow that I knew from a village like a couple miles down the road named whatever." And I'm like very confident that's him. And like so, you kind of unravel that he's probably not actually Martin. And yeah, I got them to admit.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I told them. I was like, it's fucking Martin, because
that makes total sense why I'd go
Otto
that route.
he kind of, the idea is you feel like Otto found out that he wasn't who he said he was, and they were having like a big argument. So
right,
yeah,
right. And I knew I'm like something's up with him, but I don't know, dude. I would have never fucking guessed.
No,
that.
it's cool. It's cool.
Andre,
Yeah.
did you have any other like revelations in this chapter?
I actually going off of that, I thought that I thought the Martin imposter thing was so ridiculous that I just.
It is kind of ridiculous because like, how would his wife not fucking?
Well, because he was a child when he came back. He disappeared after the Baron's disappearance,
Right,
and then he came back like a while later.
But I think Andre has a
you
point.
would hope that his mom would know if it's him or not.
Right.
But I feel like back then you could get away with that. Sure. Like you show up, even if it was like a year and it's like, it's me, Mom, Martin, and you look slightly the same, they'd be like, all right, I guess it's Martin. He's doing fine.
Andre, continue with what you were saying.
But yeah, actually, I did the whole. Did you both do the invite everyone to like a free drink?
Yes,
in the end?
yeah, that's where I learned the thing from the dude.
And I lost all my money, and I didn't really get anything out of it.
Yeah, I think I decided from that Martin couldn't be an imposter because he gets drunk and he acts like an asshole. I was like, okay, that's
Right,
still
he acts like
Martin. That
himself.
can't-
Sure.
Right. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Yeah,
But I mean, I
that's
just
so
took that as
funny.
him being a drunk idiot. Whereas, like,
Right,
I don't know,
but-
I
but-
guess all the other things together, like everyone talking and that dude in the bar, that dude in the bar really convinced me. I will say, he's like, that's definitely so and so
Holy
from down
shit.
in the other
So
village.
she has kids.
And you kind of get him to seemingly admit it too. Also, because I accused him and got the whole crowd riled up, and then I guess I should explain this.
Yeah.
So then he kind of runs away from the crowd up to Ulrich, or I'm sorry, Lanhart, and he stays with him in the. Do they go to the mill?
Yes.
Okay, and then and he shoots the one guy,
Ulrich.
and then they burn down the mill with Martin and him inside.
So it's that's what happens with guys. So it sounds like Ulrich is always a casualty in that conflict. Andre, who did you end up accusing?
I picked Hannah. It just
we
seems
all
like all
went the three different routes. Interesting. So
Yeah.
same thing happens with Hannah, I guess.
yeah.
And I guess that makes more sense because her and Lenhard are like kind of in cahoots.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense that you would, they would be in cahoots together.
Yeah, it's funny.
Where like the other two don't really have anything to do with each other.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Lenhart, though, he just didn't want the peasants, I feel like, to revolt. Like, it didn't feel like and I guess he gets that if Otto's gone, but I feel like that ultimately kind of gins up more support for him. But still, I got, what was her name again? I'm sorry, Megan, did you say? Or
Who?
the woman that you accused, Andre?
Hannah.
Hannah.
Oh, Hannah.
I don't know why I said Megan.
Megan?
I persuasion checked her, and she like emphatically denied it. And then I talked to Lenhart. Of course, these aren't great sources.
So I snuck into the crypt and I overheard the conversation.
That's what I did too.
With
And then
Casper.
I went up, and then I confronted them about it. She was like, "They're gonna find out like about like whatever." They're like, "Whatever we did," but it didn't seem to me that they were talking about the murder. And even what's his name was talking like, "Did you kill Otto?" Like, doesn't he ask her like right there, too? Like while they're by the
yeah.
ruins? And she goes, no. Like, I feel like
right.
if she did it, she would have admitted it to him there, because why not? It's just him and her. So, no, that is interesting, though, that we all went the three different ways. So does it end up the same way with you, with the Miller and all that? Like, yeah.
Yeah, Ulrich gets shot and they get burned.
Oh, man. What an awful way to die.
Getting burned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and those clothes back then, so flammable. Oh, they light up right away. It would be terrible. So yeah, that's
I
interesting.
think the only
That's what
Weird
I'm saying.
tangent.
Awful.
I think that, like, of course, we're gonna miss some stuff in a podcast.
Of course.
That's the inevitability of it. But we didn't really. Kaspar, as Casper or Caspar.
Yeah, I guess Caspar.
I was
makes more
calling him
sense,
Caspar.
What did I call him? Cosmo, right? I was like, oh god.
Yeah, who's that fucking kid?
Yeah.
He was interesting because he
was.
like, because so Andreas went back to Nuremberg. He got married. He's an esteemed painter. He had a child who died. You find out August.
Yep.
And yeah, like he's just running from his problems.
Yes.
Like he's not he doesn't want to go back.
And he just that's the idea. He stops in Tassing to just see his the father's grave.
Yeah,
right?
like
And
his
then-
reasons for stopping are genuine, but I think
But also 'cause he
gets
like you're
wrapped up in shit again, and I think he kind of like doesn't like that, but also I don't get to home sooner if I like do this.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go back to that empty house.
Yeah, and like deal with his wife, who I guess they're kind of have like on a falling out.
Yeah, arranged marriages. Who would have thought? I guess they work sometimes. What do I know? I don't know. I know nothing about that. Actually, maybe they don't. What do I say?
I guess they probably did.
No, I know. But it is very interesting to see that jump from Act 1 Andreas to Act 2. And you even see a little bit more within Act 2. But
So, did you guys find out how Otto finds all this out?
how he finds what all
Why he starts this revolution? Why he really starts it? Because he tells Andreas, like, I'll show you what I have.
Is it because of the guy? Is it because of Guy or no?
No.
Andre, do you know?
Is it because of that thing he found when he was digging?
Yeah. Do you know what he found?
Yeah. I got told that in Act 3, actually.
Okay, I knew in Act 2. He told me. I got him to tell me. So he finds the head of what right. I guess you find out in Act 3 either way.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's the head of Mars, who he thinks is that saint.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, he found a fucking head.
Interesting.
And I'm like, oh, and then like it makes sense. I'm like, dude, what?
Oh, I guess that makes sense because it would have like the Roman style. Like it doesn't look like a saint is the idea, right? Like
right.
Yeah.
It looks like,
Roman statue.
the Roman soldier.
Yeah.
Forget the name.
Interesting.
This is tough with all these names.
No,
Usually it's like you do one review of something, that guy,
Miller,
and then you move on.
guy,
But this, it's like, I got to remember so many people.
No, that's very.
Can I just quickly interrupt?
Please
this
do.
is
Absolutely,
viewer. This is why the glossary function is really good in Pentiment. You'll end up using it. It's good.
Right.
You can always
and when you see names come up, oh, here's what they look like. Yeah.
That's one thing I wish I took more advantage of. I definitely didn't look at the glossary all that much.
Every time it came up, I was.
You guys honestly just talking about it more is making me just want to already kind of go back and replay it a little bit. But no, that's definitely something next time. If ever I do replay it, I will pay much more attention to. I definitely used it a little bit for certain characters, but like I said, I definitely was a bit kind of overwhelmed at the beginning coming into the game, not necessarily understanding what we were doing. But like we said, by the time I got around to especially the end of the second act, I really kind of was picking up what it was putting down. But yeah, glossary. Great stuff.
Right. Anyways, we were talking about the head of statue, sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I didn't find that out at all. I don't remember that.
Not even Act 3 when you're.
Oh no, Act 3. Yeah. Because it's
okay. I guess he has to. Yeah.
Because of the whole kind of end. So, but So Martin died. I guess then Hannah died, and then Guy dies for you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anything else from Act 2, Andre?
So I mentioned earlier the whole thing about subjective storytelling, and I think that's what kind of makes Act 2 my favorite, just because it made me realize that the storytelling in this is kind of crazy.
Oh,
so
it's
like
top notch.
So like in Act 1, Andreas has a lot of these moments where he goes like this, and those three people talk to him to try and like persuade him to do
these like
it's different parts of his mind.
Yeah,
figures, philosophers. It's interesting.
It's cool.
Yeah. And I think that reflects a lot like how Andreas was a lot more lively in a way. He was an active thinker. He was always, he was alive. There was different parts to his personality. But in Act 2, we see when we go back into his mind that he's basically killed them off because of what happens between Act 1 and 2. He doesn't ever do the speech bubble. Thinking bubble.
Yeah.
Ever again.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
Dude, did you get told that? Did you fucking notice that?
No, I just thought about it.
That's really cool.
That's like an astute observation.
I didn't even notice that because
I didn't even think about that.
I noticed the thought bubble here and there for sure when it was an option, but that's funny. That's really cool. Again, it's these little points you're pointing out to me even now that I'm like, that's what does make this a fucking fantastic game.
Right.
That's cool. Great observation.
And also another small thing. Now that you already mentioned his son, how did you feel when like you went into Andreas's mind and this kid was just suddenly introduced, and Andreas just kind of doesn't really say is very clear about what's he's not very clear about what's going on. How did you guys react?
That was probably one of the more gut-punching moments of the game for me. It actually kind of, at least one of the August interactions. I can't remember if it was the first or the second.
There's 2 or 3.
Yeah, but when he's just talking to him. Yeah, you don't really know at first who this child is, but then I feel like through the context clues of what you can or can't say. I don't know. I know near the end you can kind of just be like, say nothing. I can't remember if that's an option every time, but it really does kind of gut punch you, and he's starting to go like, I'm sorry, I wish I could have done more. Could you just say something to me? And it's just like, really hard stuff, like very hard hitting.
Yeah, I knew exactly what it was. Like as soon as this kid popped up, I'm like, this is his kid. Like this kid passed away, and he's clearly running from his problems by what does he leave for again? To what?
I think you leave
More
to
training?
like spend a summer in wherever. Oh yeah, we never asked what our what our chosen like lifestyle was.
Is Vienna a choice?
It was like Vienna. Then there was I chose what was the? I'm gonna look this up. But
Do you remember yours, Andre?
Do you remember yours? By
I had
chance, Andrew?
something to do with Spain, of course. Something Aragon.
That's what I picked. That's what I picked. Aragon.
I think I picked that one too.
Of course, we all picked the same thing.
That's so
Yeah.
Well,
God damn us, guys. We should have organized that. No. That is funny.
so-called free thinkers.
Yeah, right. Well, honestly, just showing that just how much stuff we picked similarly is funny to me. Just the way of just a tiny personality test.
Yeah.
We're more similar than we may realize.
Yeah, but like I like how this game like really this game is pretty deep for the most part, but like it gets deep in like a different way with like discovering like what Andre is actually doing, or Andreas. Jesus Christ, this is
I shouldn't have even pointed it out at the beginning.
Yeah, like what like that Andreas is like he's like a troubled dude, and he really does not let you know he is. He's very good at hiding it in his dialogue. You really don't notice it until the end, and then in Act 3, like when spoilers, like when like it all kind of comes out, but like you really don't get it's not obvious that he is just like a troubled dude, and he doesn't want to deal with his job. He doesn't like the people he's painting for. He's lost the passion in his art. He's lost the passion in his marriage and like with his family. Like he like really has nothing. He says that at one point. Like he's like, I've lost everything, dude.
Well, and it's funny. You can, I feel like, lean into that more or less depending on your choices. I feel like when you're even talking to Casper, you can kind of disparage him or kind of encourage him more, or be like, it's not even worth being an artist, and stuff like that.
I encouraged him.
I did. I think
What
I
about you
did,
guys?
but he liked that for some reason. It was an upvote.
I wasn't super negative to him, but I don't think I was super positive to him either. Andre?
Yeah. Did you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was I don't know. Casper's just a cool little dude. I couldn't let him down.
Yeah, I liked him, and I didn't want to like disappoint him either, and I wanted to like sometimes I was like in the church, I think the part where you're with Father Thomas and they're all doing they're doing confessions from the St. John the Baptist ceremony, and like I was like, I think he like asked some things, and I don't really like tell him flat out about stuff. Like I kind of treat him like he's your kid. Like I think that's what he's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Like for all intents and purposes. And the choice at the end where, the Abbey gets set ablaze and Casper did not leave me because I was good to him. And if you were shitty to him, he would have left.
See, I was good to him, and I said, go. I was like, no, you gotta go.
See, I told him to go, and he liked me too much, and he did not leave.
See, mine, mine was overall good with him. I think I had like one maybe down arrow.
Yeah.
But all of them, like I think he was like, no, master, I'm saying, and I'm like, no, go.
So he left.
Yeah, he left. He got safe. He went back to his family.
Really?
And stuff like that, yeah.
So, interesting.
Wait, what?
I think
you only had one arrow down.
Yeah.
But he left.
He left, but like I thought it was because I was literally, from what I remember him, like I'm like, no, you need to leave.
I told him that, and he was like, no, I'm not leaving you.
It said persuasion worked for me. Like
yeah,
for some reason.
So mine did too, but he still stays.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering. I really feel like he did, because at the end, does he get away regardless, or
he dies.
He does. See, yeah, mine he survives. Yeah. And I did have good, and I know for a fact I had successful.
So he comes back.
Things. Yeah. You see him in like his kind of visions in the third act. He's like talking to him. He's like,
and he's older?
No, he still looks like Casper, but he's like, I'm safe, master. Don't worry about me. It wasn't much better here, but I'm alive, or something like that. I can't remember specifically.
Are you sure?
Yes, 1,000%.
You sure? Like, because he's like,
I just played this last night. He said, I swear to God, unless I am having very terrible memory. Like, you see him in, like, your mind palace.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
But he was dead for me.
Oh, he said he was alive for me. He said, so I don't know how that works. Like, if it's just my mind, but, like, he definitely
My mind
was
palace,
acting
what is this,
as
Persona 5?
Yeah. He definitely was like, he's like, I'm all right. I'm like, you're making me feel less confident, but I feel pretty confident.
Andre, did Caspar meet a brutal end for you?
Yeah, he didn't leave.
So what happens to him? Does he just run in with you?
He dies.
Like,
Just like you think Andreas does.
Okay, gotcha.
He just stays.
He just goes with him. He runs with him into the blaze.
He obviously dies, right? Because Andreas, like you see him go in, and it's like the books.
See, that's what I don't. Andreas just run. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to go, and then he runs in the library.
Obviously, that's the def.
But then
that
what happens to
happen.
Caspar? Like, what
He
happens?
just dies too.
Like, as it like in that moment, does he go into the fire with him? Or like,
Do you remember Andre?
He at some point he runs in and like drags Andreas out of the fire into the crypt, but he doesn't make it out himself or something along those lines.
Right.
No, that makes sense. Interesting. Yeah, I really am feeling pretty confident that I had a good persuasion with him. Like I said, I only had one down arrow, but I was like, no, get out of here.
Maybe there's some like pivotal things that like will
decide whether or not.
Yeah. So and then like like most of the like I don't know if everyone like in the revolt when the soldiers come, people died. Obviously, I'm not sure if that changes at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember like I know like Ursula's dad dies. He's one of the guys who dies. That one guy's son dies. Anton dies. Trying to think of who else. Obviously, Ulrich dies. There's like a few other people who die, but I don't know. Do you guys know? Like, was that outcome like kind of weird to you, or did people get killed
for what?
In the revolt?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like by the soldiers when they come into Kreisau.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
I can't remember specifically that because when I finished Act 2, it was like a week or two ago, so I'm a bit fuzzy on it. So I don't remember.
Yeah, did the soldiers storm?
They storm it after, yeah, but I don't remember any even talking to the peasants the years after. I don't remember them saying like, "Well, the soldiers came in and killed so and so."
Oh, they talk about that a lot.
Because Peter dies, obviously, right? He just dies in the flames, and then, or maybe they kill him. I cannot remember.
No, they kill him.
Well,
he dies.
Yeah, Peter is like.
I know he dies for sure, but I can't like. Do the soldiers kill him?
Yes.
Or like, okay.
I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember in mind if he just walks into the like fire with them or not. But anywho, I don't remember specifically is my answer. Andre, what about you?
Yeah, I don't remember any. I mean, aside from Peter, because he's the leader.
Right. He becomes the leader. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really remember any other. Well, aside from the ones that the Miller and the one you accused. Mm-hmm. I don't really remember them talking that much about specifically who died. Like
right, if you can change that. It's funny. Like Stoltz kind of becomes a character who I thought was a shithead, and then kind of becomes like better between Act 2 and 3. The Doctor.
Oh right, yeah,
yeah.
He can be kind of a cynical dick.
Stoltz actually, not Stoltz.
Yeah, but you can tell he somewhat cares at least a little.
Well, he grows to care.
Yeah,
and I think a character actually says that. Like specifically, like I don't know if it's Magdalene or somebody, but somebody's like, yeah, like I don't think he liked us at first, and then he stayed here, and then he liked us.
Yeah, he was an interesting character. I thought he was going to play a bit more of a part than he ended up playing, but
yeah,
it was interesting.
A minor role, but a majorly minor role.
Absolutely. Andre, anything else about Act 2 that you want to cover before we move on?
Well, it was more about. Well, I just wanted to say again.
Go for it, man. Anything
with August is that it's only something I realized after I finished the game, but the whole thing about the game never telling you explicitly who August is reflects the fact that Andreas is like actively trying to forget him and what happened.
That's very interesting. I realized that's actually really cool.
And I think
this game is so
cool.
I love it.
And that just goes back to what I talked about. I think this game is really good at that, really subjective storytelling. Like you really get everything told through the eyes of the character you're playing as, which I think is something I haven't really explored that much. But then again, I don't really get involved with many narratives. But at least of all the games I've played, I've never really seen anything like this.
That's a very good point. I mean, I do think this game respects your intelligence. It allows you to read into
It doesn't
things.
exposit. It just like it's abundantly clear. Like there's only like one thing that could be.
Yeah.
So it just lets you figure it out.
That's what even like me.
Like
I
André just
didn't
said,
use the glossary a terrible amount, but I didn't feel that loss. You know what I mean? Like I still felt very much like
and they bring up
happening.
terms. I'm like, yeah, I know. I looked at that and like, you know, I love games based in history. I think they like kind of excel to me. I definitely need to play Kingdom Come Deliverance. What other game was I?
I mean, dude, that was absolutely one of the major appeals
historical.
back in the day for Assassin's Creed. Even like Assassin's Creed 3, when you get, you know, the codex of all the different historical figures back in the American Revolutions and stuff. It's always a nice thing to include in a game for sure.
Yeah.
But Act 3, we make a bit of a switch.
The twist.
The twist. So I gotta admit, it lost me here a tiny bit just off the bat.
You do get detached.
Yeah,
Kind
just
of
'cause
like it's such a juxtaposition.
you're thrown into the shoes of Miss Magdalene, which is funny.
Mary Magdalene.
Mary
yeah,
Magdalene.
Who's a you know, she's a little kid in Act 2. And I like how the kids grow up. That's something we didn't talk about. Like, you know, Ursula is one kid who you see progress from like being an infant to like poking your foot and barely being able to say your name to being like, you know,
full-grown person.
like a married woman.
Yep.
But yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, it was interesting. So you start out as Magdalene, who's Klaus's daughter, right?
Yeah.
And
Drucker Lynn.
Druckerlin, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why LYN is on the end of her name, even though her like dad is alive.
What do you mean LYN on the end?
So Klaus Drucker and then Magdalene Druckerlin.
Oh, Druckerlin.
Like she has a different last name from her father.
Actually didn't even catch that.
It's like, you know, like Snow and Flower and like Game of Thrones when like they're bastards and they have like bastard last names.
Huh.
Like that was kind of what I was in the thinking of. I was like, that has to be something to do with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
I actually didn't even
dead
catch
or
that.
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But like I said, I was thrown off a tiny bit at the beginning, and I feel like that I put it down for a little bit of an extended period of time at that because I was like, Andreas, come on. But I will say it really kind of locks you back in within the first like once I actually stepped back into it, and I was like, oh, this is actually a really cool character. I think they characterize Magdalene in a very interesting way, and you can play it a number of different ways. What did you guys choose for your choices this time around? I went just to start us.
Yeah,
Bookkeeper,
I'm pulling mine up.
And then I was the bookkeeper, and then what was the other option of like what? Oh yeah, and bookworm. I think were those the only two?
No, there's a lot. There's 3.
Oh, I guess I'm thinking. Yeah, so I chose bookworm, bookkeeper for like the dad, and then what's the third like thing? What was your? I guess.
So you have a default one, and mine was Myth and Legend because I gave her the Myth and Legend book. Because I think Klaus says something that she's interested in that, or like I think a conversation kind of leads me. I'm like I don't want to give her like the religious text. I'm gonna give her like the cool book, right? I'm gonna be the cool like uncle guy here.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I did Tinkerer, Haggle, and Reformation.
Gotcha.
I like kind of like besides the being like a seducer kind of character. Like I was like, well, like it makes sense she'd be a tinker. Like I played her as like she was like pretty smart.
Yeah.
And like, you know, learned person. What about you, Andre? How'd you shape Magdalene?
It's I had no idea what to. It's kind of funny though how I decided how to make Magdalene based on like the conversations you have with the 3 guys, you know, where you do it, and those 3 guys were really irritating me for some reason.
Yeah,
and then I saw the option. Yeah, and then I saw the option to pick the barbed one where you can just like throw really good insults, and I'm just like, fuck you.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's funny that you can
barbed,
pick that. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked barbed, and I think not housewife. That's not the name, but it's something along those lines, like housekeeping or something.
Oh yeah, like woman, like the dude. Yeah, I know what you mean. Or was it? There was bookkeeping, right? That's one I think I chose, where you like handle all the financials, and then there's the more like housewifey duties one. I think that's the one you're talking about. Interesting.
And what? And
yeah,
was there?
And then I think also picked reformation. I think. Don't remember the motivation for that. I just found it appropriate.
Yeah, I just think like so. My motivation was like, okay, like she's Klaus's father. Her being a tinker would make sense. The myth and legend stuff was from the book, from the that's Andreas is like passing on. Like I just kind of like she seemed like like she would kind of be like more independent because she only has one parent. That was like kind of my like thinking behind it. And she grows up around books, so it makes sense she'd be reading stuff, and like that was like and a little more crafty than other people. That was like really my thinking behind it. I was like, it would make sense if she was actually like this. Like her dad and like Andreas a little bit, but like also like her own person.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And then we are set with the task of painting Tassing's new mural to depict his history.
What the fuck's it called? What's the house called? The place?
It starts with an R.
Rathaus.
What is it?
Rathaus.
Oh, I like that. I like the actual.
Did you know that term before this game?
Well, dude, Denmark is straight. It borders on Germany.
Yeah,
so
right. But that's why. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I was like, I am not familiar with this word at all.
No, me neither. But what was that supposed to be? Is that like they're just town hall? Like
right?
Yeah, basically.
Gotcha. But yeah, so you're given the task of completing this mural to depict Tassing's history, and it was kind of an interesting juxtaposition of going from like kind of murder investigations to kind of finding out the history of this town, and I actually did enjoy it a lot. And just kind of
Act 3 is wrapped up in like just the truth of everything.
No, absolutely.
And I mean, we have not talked about the purple texted messages.
That's right, that we've been getting throughout the whole game.
Because I mean, like, but really, like, you get those, and you're like, something. There's a third party here at play, but like, there is no hint as to where the fuck these are coming from, who's sending them, why they're sending them.
I would have never called it in a million years who was sending them.
No, I know, but
yeah. So you're going around and just trying to find the history of Tassing after Klaus was hit over the head really bad, and he sustains a fatal injury, that a long-lasting fatal. I'm trying to think of a correct way to term that, where it's like he got hit and he's gonna die, but it's just a matter of time, basically.
Right.
So yeah, she takes over to find out the history of Tassing, and we go to parts as of yet unknown. And it was really cool to just see Andreas's impact on the town after all those events of Act 1 and 2, and like going around and conversing with everyone about what happened and getting everyone's different point of view on even Andreas himself. But who did you guys? I guess we have to speak to the same people, right? Wherever the objectives are at.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything is actually optional
in this one. Yeah,
I could be wrong. Andre,
was there anything you could miss? Do you think, Andre?
You sounded excited to talk, so.
I mean, aside from some side conversations you can probably have depending on what choices you've made before, but I think the mandatory stuff. I mean, you've already done 2 murder investigations, so
True.
Act 3 is basically wrapping things up
for sure.
And I do enjoy. I didn't mind that actually.
No,
it's more.
Absolutely, it's very succinct. Yeah. Who did you guys talk to? Like first, or like I guess not. Who did you talk to? Because we all talk to the same people. What kind of reactions did you get out of people? Because I know when I went to talk to Martin's old wife and mother, they were not a fan of Andreas.
Apollo and Artemis are not there for you, are they? Or are they?
No, they are.
Oh, yeah, they're Big George's kids. They're Big George's kids, not Martin's. Big George.
Big George. So, yeah, I was talking to them, and they were like, this town's worse off ever since the rebellion, and Andreas caused more trouble that he should have, and this, that, and the other. Like, what kind of conversation did you get out of them?
Andre, you want to go ahead?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I just helped them unleash the frog plague or whatever.
Oh, so you guys, I didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
What happens with that? Yeah, tell us.
Nothing happens.
Really?
You help them.
Oh, no, wait. No, I think I did help them, but yeah, nothing happens.
Yeah, I decided not to. I was like, they told me the whole plan, and then I had the option to tattletale on them too. But I didn't, because I'm respectable. But yeah, no, they were just talking about, like, the mom was really pissed at Andreas, and they were like, that was the real Martin. It definitely was him. He shouldn't have gotten him killed, and he definitely wasn't, though. So
all that comes out?
Yeah, so he goes, like, he basically admits it when you chase him to the Miller's house. He's like...
Yeah, so Lucky's widow is still kind of pissed at us. I don't think the whole town is... They're all, like, kind of mixed.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be like a straight opinion from everyone. Everyone's like, you know, like this was bound to happen. Like, you know, like Lenhart sucked, but like, and you know, I guess Otto was kind of right, but like, you know, was this all worth it? Like, did all these people have to die? Like, and like, are they just gonna get like forgotten?
Interesting.
And like some people like Lucky's widow, like she obviously did not like on Andreas.
Yeah.
But I think other people like didn't see him in such a bad light. Like I don't think everyone like hated him.
Sure.
But like it's funny like when they talk about him in passing, you know, like when they just like casually bring him up when they're talking to Magdalene.
Yeah.
And like she doesn't even remember him. And even Klaus is like how Klaus like doesn't like him in Act 2 is very interesting.
Yeah, because he just died and talked to him in the years,
leaves,
right? Yeah.
and he, you know, his wife dies and his son dies, and he writes him, and Andreas doesn't write him back because he's not that it makes sense why he's dealing with his own shit, but I feel like we all kind of like understand that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you miss a text here or there from a friend when they need you, but this is on an even grander scale. Yeah, Andre, what did you like? Did you notice any like overall tones in the town when you're going through and talking to people, like with like how they felt about like even the revolt afterwards?
Well, I didn't. Well, I got Hannah killed, but I never talked to the ones in the inn.
Interesting.
Which was kind of dumb of me, I guess. I feel like I could have gotten some interesting conversations.
So you didn't? Did you do the cookie thing or anything in there? Or
like, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I think you have to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that doesn't really involve talking to the ones who work. They
didn't have much to say. I mean, they're you know, the family's all there, and like the husband knew about the affair, but it seems like they kind of.
Oh yeah, did you talk to him in the woods about it?
I talked to him in the inn about it.
So he's okay. So he's out in the woods at one point, and you can kind of have a conversation with him about it. And he's like, "We don't love each other anymore. Fuck her," basically, and all that.
Really?
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting.
It looks like they kind of like fix things.
At least for me, he's like, we're just living with it, basically. Like it's just what it is now. Which I guess, hey, so you didn't find out much. See, I guess I don't remember finding out much like on they definitely talk more about like the revolt and things like that to me, or they talked to me about that as I was, you know, doing the cookies.
I mean, they definitely talk about it, but they don't like shit on Andreas.
No, exactly. Yeah, I feel like the kind of overall tone, at least when I was going through with everyone, was like, except for like the Martin's family and everyone was like, no, this was probably for the better. Like we're much better off. Like that would like the Abbey was going to close down sooner or later. They did it in a much more violent and spectacular way than it probably should have. But after a while, there was no more people coming to the scriptorium, which was like their major draw. So. Yeah, no, that was kind of interesting.
Our sister Mathilde and that other monk that she was kind of getting friendly with living in Tassing for you?
I can't remember.
Really? You don't remember that?
No,
Andre, I thought that really stuck out. Because they're the only two who stay from the monastery.
Oh, no. I don't think any of the brothers stayed for me. I'm sorry, Andre. Go ahead.
I think only Matilda. I think her name is that, and Wojslav.
Yeah,
they stay for me.
Yeah,
but that's actually something I wanted to get into.
And they're in a relationship.
That's something that made me realize, like, really, because the game doesn't beat you over the head with it, unlike someone else in the game. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Beat you over the head with the whole like, oh, you made this choice. Now this is the consequence.
I get why you said that.
Yeah, I just
wink, wink.
But yeah. But I was looking at like Matilda and Wojcislav like cooking in the inn, and when I was talking with them, I realized something completely different would be happening right now if I accused her of like the murder back then.
Yeah. No, it is incredibly refreshing to play a game where it's not like, this is the big choice, like you're saying. Like it just feels very natural. It is. And we're all right. You've made a decision, and now later in the game has just unfolded the way it has because of that. But it's not like pointing out to you like, well, if you hadn't have done that, blah 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 blah. Like I feel like The Witcher is also another good example of feeling like you have a lot of decisions, but you don't know in the moment that decision is going to make.
Yeah, like the Bloody Baron quest line is
like a major difference.
Perfect example of like a quest line that really unfolds in very unpredictable ways.
I've said it 1,000 times during this, but choice and consequence is the cornerstone of a good RPG, and this is a fucking great one. But when you guys were investigating We all went down to the mines, I assume.
I think you have to.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to what you can like. Feels like there's not as much missable things in this third act. Is that dumb to say? Like, I guess objective wise, because like I guess in the other ones you could just not, like I said, I didn't even investigate Guy, and I just continued on with the story. Whereas this, I felt like you kind of had to go to every single point to progress.
Yeah.
I got a book, but my Magdalene couldn't read Latin, so I never got to
the book from Martin's family.
Yeah, I think I read that.
I got it too, and
yeah.
I also could not read it.
I was the book
and I couldn't find anyone to read it. Like Father Tom, like I went to Father Thomas last. I went to like the one Gertrude, I think is her name. Is that her name? Am I totally wrong?
Sister Gertrude.
Yeah, Sister Gertrude. Like I went to her, she's like, I can't read this. And then I went to like a few other people, and like, I can't read this. And
I'm trying to remember
and then
what
the fucking inventor dude didn't have time for me. He's like, I can't do this.
I'm trying to remember because I feel like I could read that, but I'm trying to remember what it said or what the big thing was.
It's like an account of it's the book that Baron Rothvogel, that's his name.
That's right.
Baron Rothvogel was like, he had the only other copy, and
Right.
that was what he was getting. Like that was like a past work that he had patroned,
Purchased for
he was a patron of that he got
sense.
made.
Huh.
Yeah, and they had the only other copy because Martin had it for some reason, stole it. Yeah, no, he stole the book. Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah,
this is all coming back. This game, it's funny recounting all this. This game is insanely complex.
Oh, it is.
It's very hard to,
Like we said,
kind of articulate again.
for sure.
Yeah, but that was a dead end for me.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like there isn't. So by the end, once you get to this, again, this chapter is much more about, or act is much more about just revelations and where it's going. Did you guys see at all where this was heading? Like, did you have any inkling?
Not at all.
Andre?
Wait, could you? I'm sorry,
no,
I
it's
zoned out
okay.
for a bit.
Did you see where this was going at all? Like in the way of like where the final reveals were and anything like that?
Like in terms of who was
doing what and who was really kind of going all along?
Well, I think I actually figured out like the main culprit. Like when I was doing Act 3, I was like, wait a minute, who's the? Wait, can I talk about it?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like, I was thinking to myself, who's the one person whose job is to know everyone's secrets?
And it's the it makes total
Father Thomas.
sense. Father Thomas.
Yeah.
So you felt like you really felt like you were like, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and
I mean, it makes total sense when you really think back. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and well, okay, we're kind of skipping to that. I'm not trying to skip to the end, but I feel like
No, it's okay. Yeah.
There's just so many. The entire game. I mean, the entire game just sprinkled with these small clues that actually give a very obvious hint as to
like
what is
why
going
the
to
fuck
happen.
is there a nun walled off in like a prison cell, and like you interact with her I forget her name off the top of my head, but you interact with her a few times, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
and then but like you never go back to her. So like I think like the game intentionally wants you to forget about her,
No, that's true. I mean,
like
what
because
did
you
think,
interact with
Andre?
her so little. And like, you know, like in passing, she's like, "Oh, Andres."
I feel like every once in a while you do get this kind of reminder.
God,
But Andre, I'm sorry. What do you think? Did you see any connections with her beforehand? Do you think?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah.
But it is. I feel like I'm kind of skipping to the end. I kind of don't want to talk about this now.
No.
No. Yeah, don't
But-
feel like you have to.
Yeah, we can keep discussing the investigation stuff. So when we were just mural decisions, what did we go there, and what did you guys choose? I feel like that was one thing that kind of didn't pan out as much as it. Do we even see the murals at the end?
Yep.
We do. I couldn't remember.
You played it
Bro.
last night. How do you not remember?
Well, no, because I think you know what actually happened. I was getting right towards the end. I thought I paused it, but I didn't, and then I came back and the credits were rolling.
Yeah, so
So I think I missed like the last little, like probably 2 minutes.
it just shows what's on the wall.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to remember what I did.
Because I did the sacrifice, the pagan sacrifice thing on the thing.
Why?
Because I wanted to fucking freak some people out. And then the Saints was my second choice, I think. And then what was the third option?
The third one I did was the people who died in the revolt.
Same.
Yeah.
That's also what I did. Andre,
Oh,
which
okay.
choices did you make?
The first one, went with was the I don't remember the name exactly, but it was the story that everyone says is too carnal. The one with the woman
the nymph or whatever.
bathing in the
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I did too.
Yeah, and then the second one I did, I think also like actually the Christian figures like Mary
Saints
and
and stuff. Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
well,
Mary
these-
and then the two saints, right?
yeah, and the final one I went with Otto and the approaching soldiers. So it shows the truth, but without being too
crazy.
harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my thinking about it, I was like, okay, like I kind of want an aspect of like the Roman and the saints in there. I'm trying to forget what like the middle one was exactly, because I was thinking about picking the saints, and then I was like, I'm gonna do this instead, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I wanted to do that.
And it's funny, even like talking about the father, is Father Matthias, the one who runs the church, who eventually we expose at the end. What's the father's name?
Thomas.
Father Thomas.
Yeah.
But he's even like talking about how important the saints are to everything, and he's really trying to convince you to get them on the wall, and the way that kind of wraps around at the end. Very interesting. Again, like you were saying, Andre, little seeds, little tips offs where it's like, because nothing's worse than like a murder mystery or something like that tells you the answer at the end, and then you're looking back and being like, well, how in the fuck was I ever supposed to get that? You didn't lay any kind of foundation. But I think this does do an amazing job of kind of, like you said, leaving those little breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of the endings, but it doesn't tell me what they are. It's not helping. Yeah, I think I did the one where the peasant or the new, I guess it's the Christians or the Bavarians come to Tassing.
Yeah.
That was my middle one. I didn't do the Saints. I
gotcha.
pictured them like just because like they talked about how like the people of Tassing like built themselves atop of like the Roman ruins that were here. And like
and you see the aqueduct everywhere.
right, and then Kreisau used to be like a military fort. I'm like, well, I wanted to pick that, and I like kind of like, but like it's funny in the end that whole thing really doesn't matter.
That's what I was gonna say.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's like you're focused on one thing to take your mind off of like what will be the actual ending. Mm-hmm. And like, what do you think, Andre? I feel like that's something you might have noticed that those choices like really don't do anything in the end.
Oh yeah, the ones you do in Act 1 and 2.
No, what you pick for the mural. Like it ultimately doesn't affect the story. It's not like you pick these for the mural. So this is what happens to the town, like in Fallout. Like you'd get the epilogue of like your decisions being like accounted for. But like in the end, like what the mural was like is ultimately like doesn't matter to the story, I guess is what I'm saying.
You don't have the town coming up and being like, "What did you do?" At
right.
the end or something.
Even though people are questioning you in the moment,
yeah.
it's not the big revelation of the game.
True.
It's just kind of like something that she's doing while
In this act.
Yeah, while everything is coming
Kind of propelling you forward, yeah.
Right.
True.
It's more really an exploration of yourself, and I guess that this mural really is the ending splash screen that we talked about earlier, Trio.
Right.
In some
in a
weird
very
way,
different
I guess.
way.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, here's some images.
And
we're not going to explain to you what they mean, but they obviously represent the choices you made in Act 3.
And this is, I guess, your unique outlook on the events themselves. That's true. That's very true. Again, I still would have liked a little bit thing at the end of being like, you chose the like just a scorecard of like these are the backgrounds that you chose. These are like this, that, and the other. But still, no, that's a very good point.
So Andre, does Lenhard's son marry Ursula?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because like he's kind of an artist, and I forget what he's doing, but like his mother lives with him, Else lives with him. And like Else like kind of comes, I guess this is for everyone, like she's kind of glad Lenhardt's dead. And like same with her son, because he's on, and they named their son Andreas.
That was a cool little
I was like,
Wait, is he not married? Is Ansa not married with Anna?
the Miller's son?
Yeah.
Which
I can't
one's
remember specifically who he's married to be honest.
The one who steals your hat.
no, he's married to Ursula for me, I think.
Well, is it
What?
different for you?
I
Interesting.
think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
I
think-
don't remember who he was married to be quite frank.
Well, I know Andreas, the new Andreas, is the son of Anna.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering.
Huh.
Hold on. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I
I'm like,
didn't
shit. I'm like, am I misremembering this?
Lots of names. It's,
I mean,
it's,
so
Yeah,
many.
you're right. You're right. I was wrong. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good reason why the game, like when you click on the names of different characters, they show you a picture just in case you forget. So
Yep.
Yeah, and I like
No,
how,
that is true. That's a good call.
I like how Anna has his hat still.
That is also. I see. I wish that is such a cool
Yeah, she
little
has his
character
hat through
moment.
the
That's
whole
like
thing.
again, that only happened in your game, and your game, and Andre, your game too. But like, that's something that's incredibly missable. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting to, obviously, like, what we're talking about, seeing, like, all these characters that we kind of been with through this whole game, like, who they're married to and how they moved on. And, like, it's funny, like, I forget Ulrich's wife, the baker's wife. Like, she kind of, like, is okay. And, like, she has her kids, and her kids are getting married. And I know Magdalene is writing to Else a lot, and, like, it's kind of cool to see, like, that... Like, I know there's this decision of, like, okay, like, am I going to marry Otz, who's, like, keeps calling me Mags for some reason, even though I've told him, like, 30
Repeatedly.
times. And she's like, all right, Mags. I was like, well, who the fuck are you, brother? Like, who are you, man?
So with that one? I mean, I guess it's. I told him to fuck right off.
I like entertained it because I didn't know where I wanted to go with her.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't like like I was saying with, like, when she's writing to not Else, I think I said Else, Esther.
Esther.
Yeah, when she's writing to Esther.
Who is that? By the sorry to
It's
interject really quick.
remember, she was the kid of the pregnant couple that had the baby during the revolution.
Right.
That's
okay.
totally went over your head.
No. I assumed she was like a family member of some kind. I remember
Yeah,
that
that's who she
happening,
is,
but
yeah.
I didn't realize that was the same.
Yeah,
that makes
and
total
they live
sense.
in Prague, and kind of finding out like that, like, she possibly, she's like, yeah, I want to leave Tassing, or I was Tassing. I'm like, I want to stay. I don't think she'd leave. Like, that was kind of my thought behind it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, Andre, what did you say that you wanted to take over the printing press, or did you say you wanted to leave?
Oh, that's a very specific choice.
I know,
Don't remember.
That's one for some reason I do remember.
Because, I mean, like, she
I was
ultimately-
like, I want to stay,
Like,
but
she-
at that point in the story,
She ultimately ends up leaving.
yeah.
Like, I don't think it matters. Like, I don't think
But
you can.
can you choose to stay? Is because
I didn't have the choice.
well, what about the one? Again, I don't want to get too ahead, but like
Yeah, we got once we talk about the
Yeah, we'll
ending.
talk. Yeah, so there is an avenue open where I was like, oh, can you stay if you make this dialogue option with this person? I don't know, but yeah. Do we want to talk about the whole kind of final reveal?
Yeah, and Andre, do you have anything else to say before we talk about the very, very end?
I feel like there's a big thing that we haven't talked about at all.
Please.
There's always
So
it's always-
you remember the part where Magdalene is like traversing the roof of the abbey
yes.
with the music playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the
Then-
one piece of music that is in the game.
Oh yeah.
With the
No, I was more thinking like just the music in general. The music in Pentiment is so good.
It's amazing. It's very hymny and
See,
like
I kind of
like
wish there was
like
more of it
churchy.
sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like
that was like I think that's
it's
like my
very,
my one negative of the game. Like when I was like in the first act, I was like, I kind of wish there was some like music just underlying like these conversations.
It's definitely a bit more ambient for sure.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good point.
Yeah, Andre, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that was intentional. Well, I mean, it was intentional because Josh said it himself. But I think, I mean, I didn't mind because I feel like when you use music that little, it becomes so much more impactful when it happens because it's only used in moments where like something really big is happening.
Yeah.
No,
that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, the most of the soundscape is just ambient, so I can kind of see
Goats and pigs
where you
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but personally, I feel like the lack of music makes the songs that are there so much more impactful, and like that walk across the roof is amazing to me.
It's so true. I mean, it does. It makes it more poignant and really kind of stand out in your mind more. And I do feel like I do remember those moments of where it would really kind of lean heavily into the music, and you'd hear that like, like it's super. I don't even know how to describe it. Not operatic, but like a church hymn almost,
Right,
or something
right.
like that. Something you'd hear. by the way, sidebar, there's someone on Instagram Reels that keeps playing Skyrim music during like church ceremonies at the church he works at.
I've seen that.
Oh.
But anywho, yeah, music was fantastic. There was one other point I wanted to make before we got into it, and it fleeted, so I think we can just talk about the... Oh, yeah, I guess before the final, I guess we're going to talk about it probably right now anyways, is the Andreas reveal.
Dude, I screamed.
So did I only once we were
like,
in the
like
once
audibly,
I was in the
like,
room with
oh
him,
my god, like I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Andreas.
it was a good reveal. How'd you feel about that reveal, Andre?
I was also like that, but I was just screaming more like mentally. So I think visually, I was just like,
oh my god. Yeah. Did you guys see that coming at all?
Not at all. I really thought he was dead.
No, I genuinely thought I knew it was him when he was in the room. Like as soon as he kind of closed the door, I was like, oh, that's Andreas. Now, but then before that, I had absolutely no idea. But it made sense to me in the way of like, because just from the context of him not attacking him right away and waiting for what's her name. But no, that was a great reveal. I don't know why I really did not expect that whatsoever, especially going back into it. Because you don't. One of the golden rules I say in movies and video games in general, unless you see the person die, they're still alive, and that truly is usually how it is. But good reveal, and then you find out that he's just been living as a hermit in the woods for 17 years. Yeah. And he's just been, what exactly would you guys say? Like just kind of like trying to live down the shame that he feel like he kind of put upon himself, or was he trying to figure out what was going on? I don't really quite remember exactly what his whole like thought process was there.
I think he says himself that he just tried to, he couldn't really live with it.
Yeah, he couldn't
That's
face
why he
people,
basically,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
he basically didn't live in some way.
True.
Right. Like he's like, I think, he's like, I forget how to like talk to people because it's been like, I haven't like talked to anybody in like 17 years. Like, I think you're right, Andre. Like he like lives, but he doesn't.
Sure.
he shuts himself off. I think he lives in this mural, there's a specific name for the room. It's in the Kreisau Abbey, but it's it's that room with that Dance of Death mural, and he he draws on it and draws what happened, and like when you go in there's Magdalene and she's like, what the fuck is this? Like someone's been here, and Andreas is like running away from her, not chasing her. He's like, he doesn't want to be seen by her. But like even she doesn't even recognize who he is, obviously. Sure. But yeah, that was like a huge moment. I had no fucking idea that was going to happen
at all.
And I even the lead up and like right before we find out that Father Thomas is like manipulating this sister into like committing murders. Like it's honestly very... Yeah, this could happen. And that did happen, I guarantee. That, like, the church was, like, manipulating people to, like, do bad things in the name of God. And, like,
she was only writing the notes, right? Father Thomas was the one who would actually, like, he's the one who actually committed them, right? Yeah.
Right, but she was, like, an accomplice in his shit.
Sure, an unwitting one, though, right? Like, she didn't realize people were dying, because that's when she, like, starts freaking out. Like when she's like, when they're like, it led to murder, and she's like, no.
Yeah. And he was, kind of like too fanatical in a weird way, but like, and he's like, I think he trying to remember that last conversation because he's like, I don't really regret it. Like,
he thinks the church is so foundational to everything in Tassing and just to these people's faith that he is trying to obscure the fact that the two saints that the town is based around truly,
and that's why he kills Otto, because Otto finds out. And you kind of, I'm like, did Otto even really know? Yeah, he did, because that's why he died. He knew that what they were being told, what this town was sort of founded on, and the shrine to the saint was a lie.
It was a misinterpretation at the very least.
Yeah.
Willful, if not.
And Thomas knew that.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I guess he told him in confession, like Andre, you said, like, who would know everyone's secrets? The person who literally hears everyone's secrets when they confess their sins.
It's crazy stuff. What did you think about the whole reveal, Andre? I know there was something you wanted to speak to earlier that you didn't want to touch yet, but...
Oh, that was more just a specific thing because um actually I can wait with that. I guess I don't know. I mean, I can't. I guess I kind of get Father Thomas in a way because throughout the entire game he's like very reluctant to change, and kind of understand because what did change lead to? It led to the revolts, people dying, the abbey burning down, and really he was just the entire game. He was just trying to not get people killed, basically, not to cause these giant revolutions because change in society can be dangerous as
Right. I mean,
hasn't really
right.
yeah
I mean,
hasn't really stopped being relevant.
Martin
in
Luther
society.
is a thing now. Like Christianity is becoming or splitting into sects. People have different ideas. Like
on how to interpret it. Yeah.
right. So like his foundation, like you were saying earlier, Trio, is like has been challenged. So he's like clinging to that. And like it's funny, like all the people like. Immaculata like changes her like not religion, but like she's not part of that order of sisters anymore. The poor Claires are now in the abbey, and they're like they're more strict than the other set of sisters were. And like and we talked about Matthew earlier. He's Lutheran now, and the Archdeacon is like something
I
else
think he's
now.
Lutheran
Like it's funny. It's like they all kind of like changed their tune a little bit as the years pass,
and it kind of shows you how big of a time of just Reformation this was in general in the way of
right.
religion.
So like the world kind of backs up Father Thomas's like plight.
Well, and also I think this again the ending kind of speaks to him with that idea because he mentions it in the middle of the book. He's like, peasants maybe shouldn't be reading, and if you give them too much information, that might cause more harm than good. And I think that's kind of his major.
He's not wrong.
I feel like, and that's what he's showing at the end of this. He's like, well, no, we can't. They can't take this information. They'll lose faith. They'll all go mad. Why would we strip this of them? Yeah.
He's just trying to protect people, I think.
Yeah.
But of course, he goes too far, and
that's
he
true.
ends up causing the change to happen.
Right, and then he like him kind of hitting the. So you don't. Did you guys like tell that? There's a decision to tell the town or not. Right?
I told the town. I said we were going to tell the town. You don't like see them tell the town though, right?
No.
You just like have the discussion with Andreas.
Yeah. Right.
Right, Andre. Do you remember anything beyond that?
I don't think. I think Andreas just straight up says we're not telling them. I don't know if you
really?
can go against it.
Because I voted to not tell them.
Because he was saying, I don't know. For me, he was like, I don't know if we should tell him. But I was like, no, we definitely should. And he's like, all right, we will. Like he went along with me. He's like, you know what? They do deserve to know.
I didn't tell them because I thought he was right that like telling them would
cause more trouble.
Like this town, yeah, they would totally like it would like ruin all of their lives.
I chose faith, Gooch. Faith will get them through it. They have to know. No, but I think I did. I'm pretty confident. But yeah, you're right. You really don't. There's not much closure to that effect.
Yeah, the only closure we get is Andreas deciding to stay and kind of live a normal life in Tassing, or as normal as it can be at this point, and Magdalene leaves and goes to Prague. So what were you saying about Otz?
What was I saying about Otz? Now I forgot.
That he was like that there was like a decision about like marrying him or
like
something?
he's like Magdalene, are you sure you don't want to marry me? And then there's like three options, and one was like, I guess I could ... And then the other one was just like, no. And then the other one was like, you'll find a good person, Otz. And I just clicked the one and I was like, no, have a good one. He's like, well, that was blunt. And then he just walked away.
I also picked that one.
I took a shit on it. I was like curious, like if you do press the low,
I don't even remember. I don't even remember getting that option.
Did you talk to him at the end?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because I remember his family was trying to set us up and stuff too.
Right. Yeah, they were.
But yeah, no, I don't know.
It'll be
like,
good for him.
That could change it at all. I don't know, but maybe not. There was just a random side question I had that I just remembered. Did you guys convince that nun to leave or stay when you were taking a tour of the Abbey with her?
I didn't. I couldn't convince her.
Oh, really? Do you happen to remember, Andre? I know it's another kind of...
She's the one who's giving you the tour, the new one.
Yeah. I think I tried to convince her to stay, but I think I failed, but I don't remember if she actually does or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I convinced her. She was like, you're right. I'll try and find a way out of here eventually. Thank you. and something.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
when I was talking to the head of the Poor Claire's, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be a sister.
It was so
Fuck
funny
you.
because I talked to the
Fuck you.
sister before talking to the fatter sister, and I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." Because she's like, "It's very unwomanly to run numbers," and she's like, "Okay." And then I came right back
Run
in.
numbers.
I came back in.
I mean, you are
and was
bookie, I
talking
guess.
to her, and then she's like, "Oh, you looking to join? Okay, come on in." And
Right, yeah. I already talked to Gertrude about, like, or the head about
Uh-huh.
not joining, and then you kind of, like, go back on it. She's like, oh, change your tune, huh? It's
And
like,
then when we
yeah.
get in there, I just told her, she's like, "Okay, I'll show you." And I'm like, "Listen, I chose like the blunt option, like I chose like the deal maker thing.
Haggle.
It was haggle, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Listen, I'm not joining. I just want to look around." And she was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay."
I think I told her the same thing, too.
But yeah, so in the end, you reveal it's Father Thomas with the slight help of the future seeing sister. It was good. It was definitely a nice bow tie, and you can tell Thomas, he didn't love what he was doing, but he felt like he was doing the right thing. And I guess that's ultimate decisions left up to the viewer and to decide on that one. I personally don't think it was probably the way to go, but who knows? They did burn down a monastery, so they may be worth the best people out there. But what did you guys think about the wrap up? Anything else?
This game's fucking great. I mean, like, we've been talking about it. Like, this podcast was way longer than I thought it was going to be.
I don't think we started till like 6 though. So I think we were closer to like 6 o'clock when we started. So
Dude,
it's about an hour and a half.
I know, but, like, there was so much to talk about. Like, this game is so deep and dense.
And by the way, we probably missed a ton. So
And-
it's just what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, we did. We
yeah,
did.
we. I'm like, it's almost impossible to get everything to this game. We'd have to talk like act by act, like very slowly,
Very- very specifically.
and that's fine. It's like I don't really care about covering everything on the podcast. I
No,
mean,
absolutely.
Just from our conversation, it's clear that like we all had like very different ways about maybe going about some things, and like I was like. Like I said at the beginning, like with Act 1, I'm like, I knew I was doing the wrong thing. I did not feel confident about that choice at all.
No, me
but
neither.
in 2, I felt really confident, but I was still wrong. Like, and it's interesting how like Andreas kind of like almost comes to the same conclusions.
Yeah, he's like,
that he's like, I did this, but like I don't
feel
know,
very
I wasn't
confident
right.
here. Yeah.
Andre, what's your final thoughts on Pentiment, man? Is it one of your favorite games of the year or what?
Well, I didn't play many games this year. You know me.
I know.
don't
It's like
really
as somebody who
play-
doesn't play
Yeah.
a lot of new games, like I feel like this probably means like much more than maybe it does to me as somebody who plays a lot of new games.
I don't know. I mean, I'm really glad to have played it. I did put this in my top 10 games. 10 list of 10 games I'm really excited for.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
Which you can watch on your YouTube channel, Mr. Pangyang.
It more than delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this game is that it really, really underlines like the statement. I guess if I had to describe the game, there's not a best choice. There's only your choice, and I think that's the beautiful thing. Actually, kind of exemplified in a really funny tweet that I saw, where someone said, because usually in RPGs when there's like dialogue, you can unlock unique options depending on skills. So they assumed that picking the Imperial Law dialogue would always be the best choice.
No, it's
But
not.
instead, everyone just shits on you instead. Which
Yeah,
is
it's
just
so
Yeah,
true.
it's like, dude, I don't know what you're fucking talking
Yeah.
about. Laws.
It's like, well, if Law has anything to say about
Yeah, it's funny.
He kind of actually is everything. He's
You're
like,
really-
actually.
You're really right, because like I said that when I first started Immaculata, you can say something to her.
Even the investigation guy, he kind of dismisses you when you try and like.
It's like,
bring up
dude,
the law.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stop trying to okay, but like no.
Yeah.
You're right.
yeah, the game really is about you,
Yeah.
which
As
I
much as
really
Andreas and
loved
them, yeah.
about it.
It's cool. It really is. But
Dude,
yeah, I don't know. On my end, I feel like I've kind of said everything I could say. I absolutely adored this game. It was a lot of fun. I want to see more stuff like this out there.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna get Outer Worlds 2. Hopefully, this game helps shape that game a little bit. Have you played Outer Worlds, Andre?
It's not my cup of tea.
Okay, no, that's fair.
It's like it's not we reviewed it. You can check that out. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's pretty good.
It's funny. I just had replayed
and
it.
you're
actually,
fucking replaying it right now. Yeah.
and it hit so much better the second time around for me for some reason. I don't know what it was exactly. I didn't not like it the first time.
Yeah.
But there was something that just clicked much more for me, especially like with the companions and different kind of options you can explore. But yeah, Obsidian, they have a bright future if they let it. And you know what? Let these fucking guys make a fucking Fallout game. We're not going to get one for another 15 years anyways. If it's Bethesda.
I mean, we need Avowed first.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's true. Yeah, that's fair. Tell us about that a little bit, maybe.
Before Trio does our outro, Andre, where can people find you if they wanted to check out your content or your streams?
Well, actually, could I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or are we running out of time?
No.
I mean, besides just wrapping up naturally, no.
Oh, well, I guess I wanted to ask you guys. Well, I guess Trio kind of said it, but would you mind if Obsidian did another game very much like Pentiment?
Not at all.
No. Let's do it.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like you could do like a Fallout game or something like that in this style and in this gameplay loop that I think could be very interesting. And I would love to see more games like this. Absolutely. For sure. What about you?
Well, I mean, if Josh Sawyer is directing it, then I'm all for it. I mean, really, that was the selling point for me, honestly.
That was the selling point for me too. If Obsidian and Josh Sawyer weren't behind this, and I wasn't a Fallout New Vegas fan,
I agree.
I wouldn't have gave this game the time of day. But honestly, I didn't really look into it too much. Like I was kind of sold on just those two facts: Obsidian, Josh Sawyer. I'll get it.
Yeah, and I do think they did a good job of aesthetically making it look very unique and interesting.
I follow the art director on Twitter now. Like, I
should
cannot
share their stuff in our
praise
group
the
chat
art.
so I can follow. I don't know. You should share their stuff in our group chat so I can follow them.
Oh yeah, I will. I forget her name off the top of my head, but yeah, like just the
Hannah Kennedy, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, like just the unique way about going about it with like and like how much history is injected to this, and I feel like the truthfulness and like what they really like successfully made this like cute little like historical like tale, and didn't take a lot of liberties. It seems like they're really true to the history, and their art style is also true to the manuscripts of the day and the stained glass windows of the day. Like they really tried to encompass that in like the whole game. And like opening the book and you see like the little cats on the side. Like I don't know, there's something real cute about that, and that's like the developers like pets and shit.
There was a menu that I didn't understand the purpose of. Like when you press like I can't like it literally just pulls you back. I think it's select or whatever the equivalent is now, where it would literally just kind of pull you back on the book, and it would just be the picture, and there wasn't really anything like you could do on that screen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
when like it would just like pause the game and
basically
you see like
it would just pause the game, and then it would zoom out. I didn't know if I was like, am I missing something in this menu? Because you press Y to basically use everything else.
I think that was just like here, like that were in the margins that would where the like terms would pop up.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, the glossary would be in like the margins. Like it would like point to the word, and then the picture of the person's face would show up, or the explanation of X would be there.
I see. Makes sense. Okay.
You didn't really use the glossary all that much?
I really didn't. See, but no, that's not the gloss. I'm not talking about the glossary. I'm talking about
in the moment, in the middle of dialogue, when it's highlighted, underlined red. You click select and it brings you. It just pulls that thing out.
I didn't know that. But no, okay.
Not like the big list.
Oh, good stuff. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Okay.
All right, cool. But Andre, where can we find you? Where can our good folks find you on the web?
That was a pretty good wrap up.
No, absolutely.
You can. I have. I guess the only thing I really want to promote is my my YouTube channel, which I don't really upload to a lot. That's more just if I feel like making a video. Sure. I'll make a video. Mr. Peng Young.
Awesome.
Just you'll write it on the screen.
We'll link it
it's
down
in the
below.
description.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Also, I primarily stream on Twitch. Same name.
Sunbreak Sundays, dude.
Well, yeah, I try to stream weekly. I'm
what
gonna
do you
have to
mean?
try to.
You've been calling your streams now.
Oh right, yeah. Even if it's not a Sunday, although we don't talk about that.
Yesterday.
Just yeah.
I try to stream weekly. It's a bit flexible because I also attend university, but I really enjoy streaming.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll link that down below for you for sure.
Yeah,
I like talking. I like talking about awesome games.
Dude, absolutely. We'd be happy to have you on again. Great stuff. Please go check out
thank
Andre's things. Absolutely. But this has been a very special Delco Nerd Network rewind review. I don't know why.
Second time
it's
you did
really
it.
like locked in my head for some reason. I don't know what it is.
I know
just
you
hot take.
normally do the outro.
I know. I don't know what's going on this. Thank you all so much for joining us on this hot take. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We're on all your favorite social media pages as well. At Delco Nerds on basically everything. We got a Facebook page. We got a Discord channel, which we are all a part of here, and we talk in very regularly. So it would be fun to have you in there if you'd like to join up. You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can even email us, DelcoNerds@gmail.com, with all your comments, questions, or concerns. We'd be very happy to respond to you. But for Andre, for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.